Welcome, and thank you for being here. I am Sherry Boston, and it is my honor and privilege to serve as the DeKalb County District Attorney. I am joined this afternoon by members of my office's cold case team, who I am proud to say have secured justice for John and Pamela Sumpter nearly 35 years after their lives were cut tragically short. Earlier today, a jury found 56-year-old Kenneth Perry guilty on charges of malice murder, felony murder, rape, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, possession of a knife during the commission of a felony, and theft by taking. DeKalb County Superior Court Judge Shondina Morris has scheduled sentencing for Defendant Perry on Tuesday morning. I know that many of you have followed Mr. Perry's trial, but I would like to provide a brief overview of the facts of the case and our investigation. In the early morning hours of July 15, 1990, officers with the DeKalb County Police Department responded to a report of a person stabbed at an apartment complex on Tree Hills Parkway in Stone Mountain. When they arrived, they found Pamela Sumpter, who had gone to a neighbor's house for help. Her attacker had cut all the phone cords inside her townhouse, so she was not able to call 911. Ms. Sumpter was severely injured and told police that she'd been raped and stabbed, and that her brother John had also been stabbed. Officers found John deceased in the living room of the Sumpter's apartment next door. First responders rushed Ms. Sumpter to the hospital, where she underwent emergency surgery. Medical professionals collected a rape kit that included DNA from her attacker. Police interviewed Ms. Sumpter in the hospital, and she told investigators that her brother had brought a man over to their apartment and that she had then gone to bed. She woke up a few hours later with that man standing over her. The man brutally raped, stabbed, and tried to smother Ms. Sumpter with her own pillow, but she survived and was able to provide the police a description of her attacker, including the fact that he was from Detroit, Michigan. The same day, the Sumpter's car was found abandoned in a wooded area in Lithonia. About 2 weeks after the attack, Ms. Sumpter died due to complications from her injuries, and that's when the case went cold. Fast forward to 2023. Our office applied for a grant from the Department of Justice called Prosecuting Cold Cases Using DNA. To prepare for the grant application, we identified about 24 DeKalb County cold cases, including the Sumpters, that had DNA evidence. Just a few months earlier, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation had sent the DNA samples from Ms. Sumpter's case to a private lab as a part of an effort to analyze previously untested rape kit evidence. But just because you have DNA evidence doesn't mean that there will be a match in the state or national databases. We decided Ms. Sumpter's case was a good candidate for a new investigative technique called Forensic Genetic Genealogy, or FGG. FGG is a process where DNA analysis is combined with genealogy. FGG allows investigators to take a DNA profile from a case and run it through law enforcement accessible family tree databases to search for relatives in order to narrow down who the DNA may belong to. The Bureau of Justice Assistance awarded our office the Prosecuting Cold Cases Using DNA grant in October of 2023. In February of 2024, we sent a DNA sample to our private lab partner, Othram, which began working to identify the suspect through FGG. That same month, we worked with the GBI to upload the DNA profile with this case to the national DNA database. And within days, we got a match to a sexual assault in Detroit, Michigan. Information from both the Detroit case and the new FGG analysis led our team to Kenneth Perry of Loganville. In June of 2024, we obtained warrants for Mr. Perry's arrest and a sample of his DNA. Later that month, the GBI notified our office that the DNA sample collected from Perry at the time of his arrest was a match to the DNA collected in Ms. Sumpter's rape kit. Fingerprints from the Sumpter's apartment were also a match to Mr. Perry. And today, a jury found that that evidence was enough to prove Mr. Perry's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, while we are satisfied that the jury's verdict, make no mistake, this verdict was not just for me or my office. The jury's verdict today was for Pamela, John, and the entire Sumpter family. A family who has waited decades for their loved one's murderer to be brought to justice. The Sumpter's family has asked for privacy at this time while they process today's events. But they did ask me to share with you that they are appreciative of the verdict and all the work that everyone did to bring this case to a close. I would now like to take a moment to recognize all who made today possible. First, I want to thank the Department of Justice, because without the grant they awarded our office, the DNA testing and investigative work done on this case would not have been possible. Thank you to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, which continues to fund the testing of pre-1999 rape kit evidence through the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, and the GBI for its work to process those kits. I also want to acknowledge the DeKalb County Police Department that led the initial investigation, as well as all the retired detectives, crime scene technicians, and medical professionals who worked on this case 30 years ago and came back to testify over the course of this trial. I'd like to thank our private lab partner, Othram, for their diligent work on the Sumpter's case and so many others. And finally, a huge thank you to my team who successfully prosecuted this case. Senior Assistant District Attorney Shannon Hodder, Senior Assistant District Attorney Agatha Romanowski, Supervising District Attorney Investigator Matthew McClendon, and District Attorney Investigator James Delk, as well as Director of Victim Services Amanda Blanchard. For the past 2 years, they have worked diligently to review the evidence, learn new investigative techniques, track down witnesses, support this family, and eventually close a case that sat open for decades. I hope today's verdict sends a message to anyone who falsely believes that they have gotten away with the crime in DeKalb County, that no matter how much time has passed, we will never give up on securing justice. I will now open up the floor for a few questions.
DA, can you talk about why there's a delay in sentencing for this case?
Well, the judge, sentencing in criminal trials does not have to happen on the day. It's usually up to the judge based on scheduling and what's happening if they want to do sentencing right away. It's going to be happening on Tuesday, and I spoke with the family, and they will be here on Tuesday to give their victim impact statements.
And you briefly mentioned what it means to the family to have this case closed, but what does it mean to you all? I mean, you went out on a limb, you applied for a grant, and now you have a case that's been solved nearly 35 years later.
Well, what it means to me is proof that if you give us what we need, we will do the work and we will dig deep. And that's what this team has done. It's hard to get grant money like this. It is not easy. But I think what we have shown today is that if you give us the resources, we'll get out there, we will beat the streets, and we will get justice for victims today, even if we couldn't get justice for those victims 25 or 30 years ago.